It was a normal day for Johnny the homicidal maniac. Homicide and murder. Yet something felt strange. Well, stranger than usual for the maniac. He had kept his wall wet with blood so the monster didn't escape from it, and there wasn't much for him to do. It was a dark night, black clouds hiding out the moon's gaze, and the street's lamps' glare seemed to so very faint and distant from the next as a cool, quiet whistle for a breeze traveled around Johnny's quiet neighborhood. He sat in his room, quietly on the end of his bed, his thumbs twirling with one another as he imagined something to do as he felt his day had not been fully completed. After a while, he simply climbed further up his bed and laid his head on his pillow, closing his dark eyes. Hours passed as the maniac slept quietly in his room. After a few hours, a creak was heard throughout Johnny's home, to which he paid no attention to. He lay simply on his side, away from the door, eyes closed and gently breathing, almost as if it was normal for him. Footsteps could be heard, if anyone was listening, as they proceeded through the house before slowly creeping up the stairs, each step making a quiet creak after the other. It wasn't long before the steps found their way to Johnny's door. A dark shadow could be seen from the cracks as the bottom of the frame, imitating off someone or something. The door began to open slowly, and the dark room filled by a darker shadow. It invited itself in and began to creep towards the bed where Johnny was laying. The feet found themselves to the bottom of the bed, as it appeared that Johnny had not even pulled the sheets over himself, and simply laid there, not on his back, with his arms either side. His head looked amazingly solemn for a man who kills people every day. The intruder began to crawl his way up the bed, his legs separating Johnny and began to trap him underneath his figure. It was as Johnny felt a breath on his face, his eyes opened to the white face of Jeff the killer. Johnny looked over his features, noticing Jeff's Joker-like smile, noseless face, and burned-off eyelids. It was at this moment Jeff groaned out sadistically, "Go to sleep." He was interrupted by the fist of Johnny, causing Jeff's body to fly off him and land on the floor in front of Johnny's bed. Johnny grabbed a nearby blade in his drawers and ran off his bed, lunging for a stab towards the killer. Jeff rolled out, the way causing the knife of the maniac to impale through the floorboards, getting stuck as Johnny pulled it to break it free. Before Johnny could grab her around his neck, and a knee into his gut caused him to let go of his blade and meet to the wall on the side with the killer's smile in his now blurring vision. As Johnny met the floor, Jeff shouted, "I told you to go to sleep." Jeff's foot began to swing backwards before swinging forward into Johnny's hand as he caught it. He pulled it, causing the killer to meet with the floor, an arm's length of the maniac's nearby blade. Johnny climbed onto Jeff's body, his foot resting on his chest, almost pinning him down. Jeff swiped at Johnny's leg. A cut was made in the leg of Johnny. "Fuck!" Johnny screamed out, grabbing onto his new wound, slouching over, whining at the pain. Johnny found a blade heading towards his forehead. He reached with his spare hand, gripping the wrist of the killer tightly. Jeff began to chuckle out. "You're fun, friend, putting up a struggle like this." Johnny simply glared into the white, always grinning face of the killer before growling out, "It's only a struggle when I'm scared of death." Jeff's foot connected with Johnny's spine, launching him off his body and landing on his hands and knees. Jeff quickly climbed to his feet, turning to the maniac. As Johnny slowly stumbled onto this, the killer ran towards Johnny, wrapping his arms around Johnny's neck, gripping gripping it, causing Johnny to gasp. With the blade in plain sight above them for both to see, Jeff then taunted out, "I should have gone to sleep when I said." The blade began to make direct course with Johnny's chest, going for the heart to end his conflict. Johnny made his final attempt to struggle back, grabbing the killer's wrist once more to stop the blade's course. Yet a cold feeling began to run over Johnny, lurking up his spine before a warm sensation began to run on his chest. He was bleeding. The maniac managed to fight back, removing the blade from where it was struck, pushing himself forward from the grip of the killer and yanking the blade from his hand. Johnny swung the blade across Jeff's white face, scarring it open more from the nose up through his eye and upon his forehead. With the killer screaming in pain, Johnny pushed him towards the closed window behind him, causing Jeff to hit it with a loud thud. A crack was made. As Jeff pulled himself off the cracked glass, his eye looked before him to find the foot of Johnny going directly towards his chest. With a solid hit, Johnny quickly kicked Jeff into his gut, sending Jeff backwards through the window, falling to the cold ground below. Johnny walked over to the window and looked over, watching the red puddle under the figure of Jeff, his long black hair now more apparent in his blood. Johnny climbed into where the window once was. Not yet satisfied, gripping his blade tightly, he launched himself through the window, dropping towards the killer's body. The blade connected towards Jeff's chest, Johnny's feet digging deep in his gut, squeezing out the final, silent breath. Johnny twisted the blade in the corpse's chest before yanking it out. He climbed off the dead body, looking down onto it with his dark eyes. Johnny then began to drag the body inside his home. As he closed the door behind himself, he looked down to the dead killer and explained, "Your blood will be used to keep the monster at bay."